So I remember clearly the first time that law of attraction became apparent to me. And I was traveling around. I was staying on a woofing farm in Galiano Island, in the Gulf Islands near in between Vancouver and Victoria, Vancouver Island, and um, I was just traveling back and forth and connecting with friends, and I was in Vancouver for the night, and I was on my way home back to Galiano to catch the last ferry, and I just had this inspiration to connect with an old friend who had a family out near White Rock in Surrey. And so I called him up and was at the bus stop to go to the ferry, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I stop by tonight and just connect?" And she said, "Yes, please, come on over." So I came over. And actually, right before that, I had been trying to figure out whether I wanted to go to massage school to have a good income or whether I wanted to play music and do something that I really loved. And we passed this billboard, and it said, "Are you doing what you love?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a sign." And so I was inspired to go and see this friend because they were musicians. And so we went and we played some music, and I felt so inspired. And then at night, I was on my own, and I was thinking about how I wanted to um, maybe go to music school and expand that part of me. And so I looked online, and they had recommended Nelson Music School in Nelson, British Columbia. So I looked up Nelson Music School, and the first page that came up was this school in Nelson, New Zealand, which I had been wanting to go to Nelson, New Zealand, and I'd heard the weather was beautiful, and it was 1 year program instead of two, and all these things. It was just a really fun idea. So I got really excited about it, and I started doing these things that I learned in T. Harv Eker's Millionaire Mind, where you use all your senses and you affirm what you're doing. So you use your hearing and you go, "I am moving to Nelson, New Zealand. I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand." And then you do your vision. You do a figure eight. "I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand. I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand." And then you do your touch and you go, "I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand. I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand." And then you do spirit, like, "I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand. I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand." And I'm not sure if there was one for taste. Taste, touch, sight, smell, hearing. Anyways, and then from there, I just got really, really clear that, oh, I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand, and this is what I'm doing. And I was just in that traveling mode and didn't have any responsibilities, so I could do whatever. And so I go home to Galiano Island the next day, and I hitchhike because that's how you get around. And the person who picked me up just was like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing with your life? And what are you up to?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm moving to Nelson, New Zealand." And he said, "Really? I just came back from there, from Nelson, New Zealand." And he said, "Oh, I've got some friends there. What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a musician." He's like, "Oh, that's amazing. They run a musical theater. They could probably use you, and they're looking for actors and stuff. They might be able to hire you as at a job or something, and they have an extra space, and you could stay with them, and blah 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 blah." And I was just like, "Whoa, that's absurd. There's no way that was like coincidence. There's no way that there was anything coincidental about that. That's ridiculous." The it like there was just no words to describe. I was just like, "Come on, that's absurd. There's no way that could have just happened." And so that was my first conscious awareness of, like, if I really focus on something, things are gonna pop and come forward. And then I started to think, oh, but does that mean I have to do that now? Is like, am I sort of bound by some universal law? Like, once I ask for something and I get a sign, does that mean I have to do it? And so the answer to that came when I didn't end up going to Nelson, New Zealand, and I didn't end up going to music school. But I was walking around Vancouver one night, and I was like, "Oh, I really would like to go to Mexico. Wouldn't Mexico be nice?" "Oh, Mexico, Mexico." And then I walked by this billboard, and it was like, "Mexico, travel, vacations." And I was thinking, oh, I get it. The universe is just giving me what I'm thinking about. And I don't have any responsibility to do that. As soon as I shift my attention, the universe shifts its attention. And it didn't feel like there was any backlash. It wasn't like, "Oh, you're not focusing on, I gave you that, you didn't take it, I'm not going to give you any more." It was like, "Here you go, the next, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want." And so that was a really beautiful experience, just to feel like, oh yeah, I can I can be or do or have whatever I want. And I started to think about, ooh, what do I want? What's this? What's that? And oh, this is like the best part for me, because I realized that I could talk myself in or out of any idea that I had. Anything that was coming up for me, I could talk myself in or out of it. I could create reasons why I thought it was a good idea to do something, and I could create reasons why I thought it was a bad idea to do something, and I could totally make myself want to go somewhere, and I could totally make myself not want to go to that same place. And I was like, hey, how come? Like, how do I know what I want? What's my truth? What's my guidance? What's my compass here? Like, I don't know what to trust. I don't know how to know what I want. So I started to get clear, uh, started to have experiences of like, how do you know? Like, where is this coming from? And learning about the different, sometimes things can be coming out of fear or out of attachment, and sometimes they can be coming out of pure joy and love, and those are the ones to really pay attention to. And um, I I learned this around that time too. My mom has always been really amazing and really a catalyst for me, and she shared some really key steps along the way for me, and introduced me to Abraham Hicks, and introduced me to this process called the journey. And the journey was all about going into your past memories and cleaning up any emotional stuff that had happened, so that you can be clear. Because they say that people were acting from their past emotional hurts, and until you clean that up, you can't be centered and clear and know what you want and that kind of thing. So I went to this seminar, and I like had a huge release, and had an experience there, and learned all about how to move the different emotions, and what that what that felt like, and how much it was really time intensive. Though it was about an hour, 45 minutes per process minimum, and that was like for everything that came up. So if you can imagine, anyone who's dealing with kind of their emotional baggage can attest to that. It's there's more than just one thing, and if you did that for everything, you would just always be processing, and that's what I did for a while. I was always kind of in that processing mode, and I thought, man, there's got to be an easier way to clean yourself up, and to get to your true clarity. And so I kept looking, and then this friend said, hey, come to this energy healing seminar. And so I went to this energy healing seminar, and that was really beautiful, and it talked about healing people from different illnesses and different things. And it was amazing, but it didn't give what I thought was the most important thing, which was practice and a teaching of how to maintain that yourself. It just talked about, going to someone else and getting healed, or getting supported, and it talked about the mechanics of that and how that worked, but it didn't, for me, give specific, clear, step-by-step instructions of how to stay in that state, so you didn't attract illness and crazy stuff like that to begin with, and how to maintain that. And so then I got onto Abraham Hicks, and they were like the gold mine for me. They talked about all this stuff about emotions, and getting into your clarity, and finding what you love, and how to, at first they were kind of teaching people how to move through their emotions and raise their vibration by going up the emotional scale. So starting in depression, and moving into anger, and moving into frustration, and moving into hopefulness, and moving into joy, and moving into whatever. And so they would take people through those journeys, and then they started to offer a different approach, where they said, you know what, it's a bit too much work, and some people are getting sidetracked and thinking that that's the work, is like doing the emotional work. But the work isn't doing the emotional work. The work is being happy. The work is being in the flow. The work happens when you're in your zone, and then you can just co-create from that place. It's like the work happens when the kids are playing with the blocks. They're learning, they're playing, they're engaging. It doesn't happen when they're in their timeout, or when they're crying. I mean, that's part of it, but it's not like that you're not building anything right there. You're maybe releasing something, but you're not building something. And so the building, the fun of life, is creating and moving and co-creating and balancing and sharing and just creating these beautiful things. And the work is more just like the emotional work is more just cleaning. It's like tuning. It's like tuning an instrument before you play. You wouldn't go on stage with a bunch of people who are just right on the money and tuned and not tune your instrument. Of course you would tune your instrument. But if you're on stage and everyone's not tuned, it's like you wouldn't even get that it was important to tune your instrument because no one else is doing it. So it would be like it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't even compute to you that that was something that was important. People, they probably just wouldn't play together. They would be on their own, like most people are in this world. Anyone who has a out of tune instrument, they're only going to connect with people who are out of tune to the same degree that they are. So if they're out of tune and complaining, they're going to attract other complainers. And if they're out of tune and angry, they're going to attract other angry people. And if they're out of tune and sad, they're going to attract other sad people. And so it's just like everybody is finding their kind of people that they can play with, people that they can harmonize with. And so, so learning about this and learning about how to really step into my clarity by moving any emotions that are around it, tuning my instrument by creating such a clean space to work from. It's like cleaning my house, cleaning my workspace so that it's just open, it's ready, it's a clean slate, and I can create whatever I want from it. It doesn't have a bunch of, if it's a whiteboard, it's clean. It's not a bunch of crap on it. You can actually create on that. There's like a clean slate, or there's that momentum from some, there's already a project started and you can continue that project. And so how to just really create that clean slate, how to then figure out what you really want and focus on that. And so going through all those processes of either moving through those emotions or just getting yourself into a really high state and receiving those images or those ideas, and how to know what your intuition is and how to know when you're just sort of attracting what you're thinking about, and how that's not really important that you follow that unless it's really what you want. Just because something comes up and it feels good doesn't mean that that's your dharma and that's something that you need to do. I know a lot of people, they'll have an experience and they'll be like, oh, I want to do that now. And I've been there, and it's interesting. But it can also be distracting if you don't have a clear focus and you're just going along with whatever's around you, whatever's in your vicinity. It's okay, but it's also fun to like, ooh, what do I really want? What would be out of all the things that I have right now, which one feels most interesting to me and which one fits the bill perfectly? And I feel like when there is that clarity, then things start to move, and it certainly has for me. It's like when I chose one thing, which was teaching this material and sharing it with people and doing it in different ways, it's just been such a positive momentum and such a clear focus for me, and it's just led to like da 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 and step by step and doing these things, and it just feels so good, it feels so right, and it feels like the only thing that I would want to do right now with my life, because I feel it's so important and it's so valuable. Because with people with this, like a world of people tuned into their highest passion and doing what they love, what a gift. What an amazing, there would be so fewer problems, and it would be like a giant festival. It would be like this fun place where everyone was doing something that they love and everyone was offering something that they loved, and we could share in that. And it was just, it's when you're in that place of total love and connection, there's abundance in all ways. So there's all of the financial abundance stuff gone, all of the relationships, like lackful stuff, gone, because everyone's choosing from their highest place, whether they want to be monogamous or polyamorous or whatever else. It's like, who cares, because everyone is getting what they want, everyone's clear about what they want, everyone's moving forward in that direction and learning and getting more clarity. So there's no need for jealousy or anger or any of that stuff. It's just, there's just clarity, and you're attracting the right fits for you, and it's just it's really, really good. So yeah, if you want to connect about that, there's more videos on the site. You can connect for a one-on-one session, or check my website for other offerings. And yeah, I hope you're doing really well. And before we go, there was a couple of great testimonials that I got from people of how this kind of work has helped them. And one of them was from a dear friend, and she was going through this really tough time with her boyfriend. And she was kind of like ready to just call it quits, throw in the towel and say, I don't want this anymore. and we talked and we really connected deeply about um, we didn't really get into the issues. We didn't go in too much to the like negative stuff. We got right to the okay, um, that's great. That's your story. But I told her the tuning metaphor that if you're out of tune and you're focusing on a relationship and you play that relationship from that out of tune place, you're only going to see that the particular out of tuneness. So if you're feeling vulnerable or if you're feeling upset and you focus on the relationship, you're going to feel the vulnerable and upset potentials in that relationship, and that's what you're going to see, and that's what is going to inform your decision making. So I told her that, and she totally got it and said, oh, okay, I really want to get clear and figure out how I really feel about the relationship. So we went through the process of focusing on just getting back to center. So breathing, that's the 17-second meditation video you can watch that I did, and then building the relationship vibration, which is the relationship manifestation meditation video you can watch, and then from that place focusing on the specific person that she was thinking about and bringing out the best qualities in them and really tuning herself to the best in them so that she could attract that out of him and also attract the best out of her, because who you are is pure love. And when you're not loving someone, you're not loving yourself. You're not in alignment with that highest truth of your truth, of their truth. You're actually, because who you are is pure love, who they are is pure love. So when they're acting out of alignment with that, it's not their truth, it's just they're just out of alignment temporarily. And when you give that validation, when you see that as their truth, when you think that that's who they are and they're showing you their true colors when they're out of alignment, that's just the reason that feels bad, and the reason that you want to move away from that is because it's so far from your truth. Your truth is that they are beautiful and dynamic and engaged in life, and they're doing the best that they can, and they're going to figure it out. And isn't it great to hold everyone in the highest light? And if you hold someone in the highest light and you see their potential and you see their beauty, and when you think of them, nothing but that comes through to you, nothing but that essence comes into your mind, then you have no choice and they have no choice but to meet only when they are in their highest light. And one out of two things will happen. Either you'll draw them more into their highest light and you guys will meet more often in that place and you'll build that momentum, or you just won't attract them anymore. You won't be around them. It won't make sense for you to connect because your vibrations are so different, because you're staying in your highest potential plus seeing them in their highest potential. And if they're just not able to go there, you're just going to be like two ships passing in the night, and it's going to be obvious either way, whether it's kind of flowing or not flowing. And yeah, and it's, I mean, of course it's nice to think that we have all the answers forever and that we can make these long-term decisions, but I mean, it's okay to just say, okay, right now, this is what feels best for me, and I'm just going to hold this highest intention. When we need to fix something right now, when we feel like we need to like make something change or have that conversation or do something and it feels urgent, what's urgent is that you do your work. You like tune in and tune and meditate, because the only reason that you're feeling that urgency is because there's some pain there and you're wanting to fix that and you're wanting to clean that up. And the more that you engage with that pain, the more activated it becomes, and the more you attract it, and the more it's going to be in your life. And then the more it's in your life, the harder it is to not focus on it, and the more you focus on it, the more you attract it, and the cycle continues. So it's really important when that starts, when you start to get that feeling and that like out of alignment connection, discord, whatever you want to call it, it's important to catch it early. 17 seconds is the length of time that it takes for a thought to gain momentum and start to attract other thoughts like it. So if you can catch it before that 17-second mark and start to build the truth of what you want, the momentum towards what you do want, man, you're going to be on such a strong page. I have personally really shifted strong negative momentum through that 17-second meditation video technique, and I know that it's possible. And you know what, if that's not easy for you and you can't, if you've got some powerful negative momentum, I talk about this too, but you can just, take a break, relax, but try not to focus on anything important, try not to do anything too crazy. And that was the second girl that I wanted to share her experience, because she had just, oh man, she called me and she said that she's been consistently and I wouldn't use depressed because she wasn't hopeless, but she knew that there was so much more. She felt frustrated, deeply frustrated, because she knew that she was supposed to feel really good and she knew that she had that potential, but she couldn't get out of her mind. She couldn't stop that cycle. And what we did was, I think she was outside and she ended up just staring at a fence post and just staring at it, just focusing, like purely focusing on that fence post. And that changed her awareness, her state, and it just brought her to balance. And it taught her, and I was able to witness someone for the first time. It's like seeing someone's first steps. I was able to witness someone for the first time understand their power of focus and how that can shift emotion, and to know, and to move from a place where you feel vulnerable and fearful of negative emotion because of its effect on you and how it can cycle you into this vortex, and how all of these things can happen when negative emotion is no longer a threat, when it's just guidance. It's just a signpost. It's just the bank of the river that you need to push off of and get back into the middle. It's just like, oh, you're getting a little bit off track, come back to the center. It's just that. It's no big deal. It's like a game of hot and cold. It's just like colder, colder. Okay, whatever, I'll go back to hotter, hotter. It's not a big deal. You don't need to do a whole bunch of stuff with it. But when you start to realize that negative emotion is not this big thing, but it's just guidance, you're free. And when you know that you can move yourself into positive emotion no matter what's happening around you, and you can focus and you can be clear, you're so free, because you can go into any situation, you can go into any environment, you can be in the middle of a crazy city that's bustling with people who don't care and who aren't focused on loving you, and you can feel total love and total like peace and relaxation if you want. You can tune yourself to whatever you want to tune yourself. You can change your state however you want. It's magic. It seems like magic to people who don't understand it, but it's the most powerful tool ever, because with it you create whatever you want. And I mean, sharing that just feels like the biggest gift, because it's teaching someone how to fish, and not just giving them the fish. So thank you. I hope you have many fishes in your life to come, and enjoy the ones that are there right now. And yeah, much blessings. Thanks.